It's the story of an American held in a dark Venezuelan prison.
Then all of a sudden they all kind of lined up. They pointed their guns at me. And this is the point where I thought, I'm going to die today.
I'm Becky Bruce. I spent a year working on Hope in Darkness, which now has more than 2 million downloads. Find it on kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And that's what we want to do.
I found it everywhere.
We want to open up a conversation. So your story progresses. You're running and gunning for 5 years. Towards the end of that, you were spending a lot of time down at Pioneer Park in the Rio Grande area. Is that correct?
I was in the Rio Grande area, but I frequented North Temple because my brother volunteered downtown at Rio Grande serving burritos. I had track marks all over.
You didn't want him to see you.
Oh, heck no. I never wore short sleeve shirts around my family, so I stood on North Temple. My brother would never be down there. He volunteered at the shelter.
Did you ever feel afraid being out on the streets trying to get heroin? Was that a scary experience for you?
It is very scary, and I was scared almost every night, all the time.
Where were you sleeping?
I slept at Matson Park a lot. I would sleep at schools at nighttime because their playgrounds are set up perfect to where a lot of the preschool playgrounds have the concrete around them, so you can sleep next to there and the cops won't see you. A lot of times I'd walk around at nighttime because I didn't dare to sleep anywhere.
And you're just carrying around everything you have with you?
No, I'd go to the store. I'd steal what I could. I'd sell it. Then I'd go back to the store, steal what I could, steal new clothes, steal new shoes, steal the hygiene I needed, and then I'd sell what I didn't have. So I wasn't carrying tons of stuff with me all the time.
And were you rolling solo? I mean, is it a pack mentality or?
There's definitely a population out there that stick together. I found myself in that population of the same people I knew all the time.
How big a group?
It would depend on what group I wanted to hang out with that day. So over here would be a group of 12 people I know, but over here there's a group of 20, 30. I mean, it's a huge homeless community out there. It was huge.
And if one person scores, does everybody kind of share, or is it kind of like a communal living?
No, I think that when you're addicted to heroin, you don't want to be sick. A lot of people don't like to share what they have because they may end up sick. It is a very selfish drug.
Last night there was that senator from Denver, and she spoke, and she said she was talking about her mom, and she said her mom wasn't afraid to die, but was afraid of getting dope sick. So she almost would welcome death. Like, bring on death. I'll take death, but I do not want to be dope sick. Yeah. Is it that bad?
It is that bad. And not only do you not want to be dope sick, but you don't want to be dope sick out in public, in a park. It is that bad. It is that bad.
So 5 years of running and gunning, where does your life take a turn?
Operation Rio Grande. So because that Operation Rio Grande.
For those who don't know, because we have a lot of listeners outside of the state of Utah, what is Rio Grande area?
Rio Grande area is a highly populated homeless area where people would, you can go down there and get drugs of any type down there. People are shooting up on the street. People are defecating on the street. People are having sex on the street. People are selling drugs on the street, living on the street. I mean, it is the worst of the worst down there.
Sounds
and
like
I was
New Orleans.
Right in the middle of the worst of the worst. I was with it.
It's at one time was the Rio Grande train station.
I never knew that.
and where the trains came through, and it's a beautiful building. And,
kind of a posh place where people would go down?
Yeah, and there's been some attempts to restore those beautiful buildings down there. But it's also adjacent to a park and to a homeless shelter, and so and some free clinics for healthcare. And so it's kind of a meeting area for homeless people and people obviously who want to buy or sell.
Right. I learned about the shelter in jail.
And so you're down there, and that's where kind of like the hub of all the activity is.
Yes.
But I think this county and the city saw the writing on the wall and wanted to do kind of a cleanup. But they didn't want to just do a cleanup. They had a focus intended, right? Treatment. Yeah.
Get people help. So I was arrested on that operation on 13 traffic tickets and 1 Class B misdemeanor. Because of the Operation Rio Grande, I was held in jail. I wasn't just booked and released like I always was. When I got arrested, the officers told me, we have tons of funding for treatment. If you want to get help and you want to get out of this, ask about treatment the minute you get to jail. I knew I needed help. I would sit there and bawl my eyes out at the same time I would be shooting up heroin because I knew I needed help. I didn't know how to get it. The minute I got to jail, that's the first thing I did was start asking about programs and treatment.
Was this the first time you had ever been offered help? I mean, did your parents offer help? Did anybody offer help along the way?
I would ask my family, like, please help me. Send me out of Utah. I'm going to die if I don't get help. They didn't know where to get help. They didn't know who to reach out to get help. They didn't know who to talk to get me help.
They probably didn't understand the disease.
No. I think I am the only heroin addict in my family. Yeah, they had no idea how to help me. So this was the first time that I was offered treatment. And I took it running.
And so you got in there, and what was the treatment that they offered? I
went to Odyssey House inpatient. So I went to Odyssey House inpatient 15 days after I entered jail. So it was one of my shortest jail stays. They offered me methadone at first. It's like, if methadone is going to keep you from running from the program, we'll give you methadone. And I said, please don't. Give me Vivitrol. So I got on the Vivitrol shot. And I entered treatment. I worked as hard as I could from the minute I walked into treatment to not get involved in the cliques, not get involved in the drama. Treatment is drama.
Oh, yeah.
It is drama. It is like high school drama, junior high, all mixed together.
Yeah, all of a sudden people are fighting about dishes or TV programs or she said this, he said that. And I kind of did that when in my recovery as well. It's like, hey, I'm here for a reason and a purpose, and I don't want to get sidetracked. Yeah. So just keep my eye on the prize.
So the minute I got to treatment, they let me call my family. It was the next day after I got to treatment. Well, they called me out of a group and they said, you need to call your family. They're calling every treatment center in the valley. They don't know where you are. They've been downtown looking for you. They can't find you. So I called and I talked to my son. And he said, Mom, I am so proud of you for choosing treatment. That's all it took. That's all I needed to hear. That he had my back.
I got goose. Oh, man. And so what did that do for you?
That lit a fire under my butt, and I worked my butt off the whole entire time.
How long were you there?
I was there for 4 months. So I was the first one to complete substance abuse inpatient treatment that was arrested on Operation Rio Grande. I used the first Salt Lake County Sober Living voucher, which prompted a press release in my house, my Sober Living house that they paid for, with all the elected officials, and that's when I met then Mayor Ben McAdams.
It seems like a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. And I wasn't going to do the press release. And my son, once again, he's like my hero. He said, Mom, I asked him, would you be embarrassed if I went on TV showing my arms, showing my track marks, talking about how I was stealing and shooting up heroin? And he goes, I would be disappointed if you didn't. You are going to help so many people. You better get on that TV and do that press release. So I did.
Why do you think that was so important to him?
I think that I don't know why it was so important to him, but I know that through him it gave me the courage, and I think that maybe he's seen me get knocked down over and over again, and maybe he's seen I needed something to uplift me a little bit more than what I've always had, and that's what this did for me.
I remember in my recovery, and we talked about my kids earlier, just the fact that they believed in me, because I felt so alone and I felt living a lie that nobody believed in me. I mean, even you doing this podcast with me, Dr. Matt, made me feel good because I was so used to disappointing everybody and letting them down. And I could see the look on their face. They could say things with a smile, but I could see their eyes and I could tell their mannerisms. To have somebody believe in you when you can't believe in yourself sometimes means a world of difference.
Yeah. And I know I worked hard, but my family and my son, seen from the outside how hard I was working more than I seen how hard I was working from the outside looking in.
Well, they had a different, maybe even clearer view of you from throughout the whole process, right?
Right.
They saw that how bad the struggles really were when you were still in denial about the struggles from the abuse, the physical domestic violence, as well as the substance abuse. And then they could probably also see all the hard work that you were doing, because when you're down in the trenches doing that work, you just have to stay focused. But they were able to see the progress, and so
where I wasn't so much.
Yes, exactly. That outside of us, third person perspective is very, very telling.
What kind of magic happened in those 4 months? I mean, what kind of tools were given to you?
Oh, I learned so much about myself. I learned why I choose abusive relationship. I learned that what it was within me that made me feel like I wasn't worthy, why I wasn't lovable, why I didn't believe in myself. Because like I said, when I got to treatment, I buckled down. There's nobody around me that was more important than me. And so I learned tools in that treatment center that I use still to this day, every day of my life.
So you've got these new tools. You've graduated after 4 months. You moved into sober living. You've got the press release, and you meet Mayor Ben McAdams. And where does your story go from there?
Mayor Ben McAdams was advocating to the drug court programs to hire people in drug court. So I guess he thought he better walk the walk and put his money where his mouth is, and he hired me in the Salt Lake County Mayor's office as a drug court client.
And tell people what that means. What did you do?
I was a front desk receptionist. My official title is Constituent Affairs. Of course, when I started there, I didn't even know how to say constituent correctly. I had no idea how to say. I'm like, what is that word again? I'm just going to say I'm the front desk receptionist because
that works too.
That's easier for me. I answer if someone has an issue with the mayor's office or Salt Lake County, they call the mayor's office. I answer the phone. They walk into the office with an issue. It could be anyone from Greg Hughes, who comes in the office often, to a homeless man with an issue. I'm the face that you see when you walk in the mayor's office. I'm the voice you hear, and I'm the last face you see when you walk out.
What's your assessment of how Salt Lake City and the mayor's office have handled this issue in our city in Salt Lake?
I see it from a different point of view because I'm in it, and it's helped me so much. I think the county and the Salt Lake City Police Department and all the surrounding entities that are involved are doing amazing work. And I think that they need to get more people out there sharing their story who can be honest, who can be raw, who aren't shameful, to show how great that this has worked. You go downtown now, and it is night and day compared to what it used to look like.
Oh, it's very
You go
different.
to North Temple, and it's night and day compared to what it used to look like.
Yeah, and I think has everything to do with, I know there are a lot of working parts, but I think it has everything to do with groups becoming educated. And so we talk on this show a lot about families. Does the family understand the disease? Does the family understand what's going on? But, a city is also a group, kind of like a larger family. And it wasn't until people in those positions with the police department and the government started to become educated themselves on the process that we now have a treatment-focused intervention as opposed to just a punitive-focused intervention.
And we're now talking about it.
Right.
I think years ago, nobody would mention heroin. Nobody would talk about it.
Last night's event wouldn't have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a dirty little secret.
I mean, I want to keep talking about it. I want to talk about the things that can help, the things that are not helping, and meet people that it's helped along the way, because I think those stories are the most important.
You're listening to Project Recovery. More of Destiny's story in a minute.
A stranger with a gun came upon two teens taking pictures under a rising full moon. But violence is only the beginning of this story.
Sometimes I thought, there are no miracles. Yeah, there are, and this is a big one.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and I've spent my career talking about how lives are undone by violence. The Letter is a podcast about how lives are remade. Follow The Letter at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
I think it's crazy to think, 5 years of running a gun, and if somebody would come up to you and said, listen, go through this program, do this, you're going to be working for the mayor's office.
Yeah, right.
You would have said, I'm not high, you're high. There's no way that's going to happen.
2 years ago, I just hit my 2 years on August 21st.
Congratulations.
2 years, I would have never, ever, in my wildest dreams, even in my sober days when I was going to school for criminal justice, would I think that I could have the impact that I'm having today, that I'd have the job I have today, and I'd have the voice that I have today. I've always had a big mouth, don't get me wrong, and my mom always said, that mouth is going to get you in trouble. And Mom, I'm proving you wrong, because this mouth is raising awareness in everywhere I can get it.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're now doing all these wonderful things. You get the front desk at the drug court, but you were also in the drug court, were you not?
Yes, I graduated the first class of the Operation Rio Grande drug court.
And so I don't think we've had anyone on that's talked much about the drug court. What is the drug court?
Drug court is a program that you plead in when you have charges. I plead in on my misdemeanor charge. In drug court, you have to go to treatment regularly. You have to obtain a job. You have to obtain housing. You have to have all these moving parts established when you graduate drug court.
And what are the benefits of being in the drug court?
They paid for my sober living voucher. I gained a huge community of support. The judge I go back and see every 6-7 weeks just to say hi. Drug court was amazing. Between Operation Rio Grande and what I had to do in drug court, it saved my life. Drug court taught me how to work and manage treatment at the same time because I had no choice or I was going back to jail. It taught me how to be open and raw. It taught me how to speak in a court setting.
Well, I think, I mean, tell me if you agree. I think that you became able to do those things because finally there was a program or a group of people that supported you.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
As opposed to the old way of doing things without drug court, we have these revolving doors, this nightmare of people being arrested, being brought in, being released, and going just right back out to the street, back out to their addiction. And instead of that, now you are in a position where
you enter
what
drug
you
court.
Can do for people is so incredible because you can speak honestly about the experience of having an addiction, of being homeless, of being in jail, and show that going through a supportive process like drug court and the programs we have here in Salt Lake City, a person can now be the face of the mayor's office, and can be a speaker at an event like last night where we raise awareness. And I mean, I just think that that's how we should focus here in our city, and other cities around the country that do this have similarly positive outcomes.
Yes. When you enter drug court, you have a rally of team behind you that you never had before. Going down from the DA to the prosecutor who's prosecuting you is on your side. The judge is on your side. There's this whole team that's on your side. And coming from being homeless and isolating and having nobody, that feels great. It feels great to be acknowledged for every tiny little itty bitty step you take along the process.
You're being rewarded.
Yes.
And you know, in psychology, we know that punishment really, it doesn't work to change behavior over time. What does work is reward.
And it
Rewarding
makes you feel
people.
great.
Yeah.
It feels good.
You look happy, and you said something that's just completely crazy just a second ago. Did you catch that? She said, the prosecutor is on your side and the judge is on your side.
What?
Yeah. I mean, those we normally don't think of the prosecutor and the judge being on your side, but that's how you felt.
Can I tell you guys a little bit of a story? So through graduating drug court, working at the mayor's office, I was able to introduce YPR, which is Young People in Recovery. I was able to get YPR introduced as the first peer-based recovery community into drug court.
Wonderful.
Going through the mayor's office, going through the people that helped me, I was able to go back to my drug court and all the other surrounding drug courts in Salt Lake County with a group of people and tell my story and introduce myself as YPR and Addicted We Stand, and to say, hey, come to our meetings, and we can write off community service hours for you if you come to our meeting, because we're now peer-based resources for drug court.
And peer support in this way, I can tell you, is so powerful. I'd like to think that those of us that are therapists do a lot of good, but the reality is, and I think we do, but the reality is a peer to peer, especially amongst adolescents and young adults, is so powerful and so important. So I'm so grateful to you for doing that. There's so many people benefiting from that.
I'm trying to utilize the tools and the people I've met and my job and my passion for recovery in every way I can. And I was able to do that with Salt Lake County Drug Court System.
And I think that we said it earlier in the podcast, the opposite of addiction is connection.
Correct.
There you go.
And that community is so vital.
That proves that again.
To get you going. But not only did you do all that stuff during drug court, you had a kid.
Yeah. So I graduated drug court October 17th. I was due I had my baby October 25th. So now I've graduated treatment. I've graduated drug court. I have no legal bindings. It's all up to me to make the right choice. Yeah. I have a kid, and I get my tubes tied. And I'm in the hospital, and the nurse's assistant keeps coming in saying, we have your prescription for Loratab. Are you sure you don't want it? My head is going crazy like, now's your chance. You can take it, and you have a reason. You've just had a kid. You just had surgery.
There's justification.
Yes.
So many people are like, but it's the doctor, it's the nurse.
I said,
I'm here for a real reason.
I'm prescribed.
Yeah. I'm in pain.
I just had surgery, and I said, no, I only want ibuprofen. The next nurse assistant comes on staff, and they're like, oh, here's your Loratab. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I just want ibuprofen. The next one comes on to deck, and they're like, oh, here's your Loratab. I finally had to get angry and vocal with the hospital and say, look, this is my pain management. You guys know that I'm in a documentary about recovery because they're here. They filmed my birth. They were there to my doctor's appointments. I do not want any opiates. Don't offer them to me again.
Yeah.
And I went through all of that without taking one opiate.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. That's
so
amazing.
I get home, and here I am, no treatment, no court. I'm on maternity leave at the mayor's office, and I'm just sitting at home. I start to struggle. I start to feel like using, because what else am I going to do? I'm just sitting at home. I'm not connected. So then I decided to go to Addicted to Be Stand and YPR meetings. And ever since then, I've been running with them every week, ever since then.
You've found a new connection of healthy, supportive people.
Luckily, I knew where to reach out to. I knew where to go to get some help, and I didn't pick up and use. Yeah. That would have been the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, young people in recovery, is that just in Salt Lake, or is that all across the state?
It's nationwide.
And how do people find one?
There's a young people in recovery meeting at USARA every Monday night at 7:30. And we do our YPR Draper and in the Draper chapter on Thursday nights at Riverton Park at 7:30.
And there's a Facebook that people can find those meetings. Is there an online
resource? They can find the
resource?
YPR meetings, and also Addicted We Stand is a Facebook organization.
Right.
They also post the YPR meetings, local meetings, any resources you may need. You can go to Addicted We Stand. Somebody will reach out and help you there.
Yeah, we've had Brandon on from there. And
right.
It is a great resource. There's no dumb questions asked on there. And it's just kind of, for many, it's probably their first introduction into the world of recovery.
Going back to what you said about your own parents and your own family, when you asked for help, they didn't know where to go, and I think that is still the norm.
Yes.
Most people, most families don't know where to go, and so it's important for people to spread the word on resources. Where do we go to find out these clearinghouse of resources, what's available to us?
So Matt, at the beginning of this podcast, asked me if I've ever had any hard times or why I don't feel that. How do you get past that, or do you even feel tempted?
I don't feel tempted to use, but I do have hard times. I do struggle. My daughter still won't talk to me. That pain is painful. It hurts. But I just sit in the moment, give it a few minutes, a minute, maybe even two, let it pass, and remember that I'm using the same fuel that I used to fuel my addiction, I'm now using to fuel my recovery. And I'm going to be a woman that she can come to. And I'm going to show her women can do anything, and my door is open when she comes, and that is what I keep in my mind. My son, my recovery has brought my son such amazing gifts as well. Like my addiction caused so much pain, but I am making sure that my recovery affects everybody that I know. My son was able to go to Washington with me and sit at a table with the congressmen and members of Congress and watch this documentary film. We're able to go to the congressman's house for dinner. We're meeting the admiral. My son is along. He was there when I was deep in my addiction. He's right by my side as my rock today, and my recovery is bringing great gifts to not only me, but my entire family.
Well, and I think that's such a great illustration of your family goes through the whole process with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And they're negatively affected by the addiction process. And now it's wonderful that you're including your son, and he's in recovery too. That's the way I would look at it. He's in emotional recovery. He probably sleeps fine at night now because he doesn't worry about mom and where she's at, and he's still at a tender age. 20 is a very young age, but what a wonderful experience he has to be able to be an advocate, especially for family members. I think that's another thing, with your dad on the show last time, Casey, and we've had so many discussions about family members. I'm really glad that your son is going through the whole journey with you, especially the sweet part, the recovery. You
know what he just told me? It was day before yesterday that we were filming at my house for the documentary crew, and he goes, "Mom, you remind me of Michael Jordan." I'm like, "Why?" And he goes, "Because Michael Jordan came to the NBA when the NBA was going on a decline, and he set this platform. Here you are in this this epidemic that nobody wants to talk about, and you're in recovery and you're on this platform and you're setting this platform for people to be honest, people to recover and showing them how it's done. Like he compared me to Michael Jordan, and to me that's crazy. But that's his analogy of it, and I think it's
great.
Yeah, those moments are I would have never thought I was going to ever have in my life.
So what does the future look like for Destiny?
Oh, who knows? I'm on a rampage.
You blew that one, Casey. You should have said, "What's the destiny for Destiny?"
Yeah, I was going to do that, but I was like, man, I'm going to mess this up and it's not going to be as cool. And you did it. But I like that because people now want to know what's next for me. And I go, I don't know. But the cool thing I know is that I'm in charge. Yeah. That I get to make the decisions.
And I know what I'll continue to do. I'll continue to reach out. I'll continue to do homeless outreaches. I'll continue to try to reach that population that I was sitting in. I'll continue to use my voice. I'll continue to try to take every opportunity I can to reach somebody and help another family. Where that takes me, I don't know. But I'm sure it will be great.
I love it, and I love your story, and thank you so much for sharing. If people want to find out more information about you and all the great things that are going on in the community, is there a place they can go?
You can always come into the mayor's office and tell me how I've helped you or touched you. Those things keep me fueling. You can, Addicted to We Stand, I'm part of that organization. I'm part of YPR, USARA, and any homeless outreach event, I'm usually there. I'm out in the community.
Tell the listeners what USARA
I'm also on
stands
Facebook
for.
Under my name.
What is USARA?
Oh, geez. It's a Utah Support Awareness Recovery. Oh, I just screwed it up.
I think it sounds good.
Yeah.
All those letters fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I didn't know either. So
I've heard of USARA. I don't know.
I think if people type that in and type in USARA, Utah, they'll get to the right place.
It's an amazing organization. They have every Friday night, they have free movie and food for families. They have family groups for people who have family members that are addicted and struggling. They have classes you can take down there.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's how I learned to. I just applied to be a peer support specialist through USARA. There's a lot of amazing people down there that are willing to help you.
How could people see this documentary? I'd like to see it.
Hopefully they're done filming. This was supposed to be their last film shoot, and they're going to submit it into Sundance.
Oh, great!
So,
wow.
Yeah, when I find out, I will keep you guys posted.
Do we have a name on it yet? Do we know what it's called?
It was going to be
Destiny
named
film.
No, it was Chrysalis. So if some of you guys don't know, it's from when the caterpillar blooms from a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's called Chrysalis.
Okay, all right. That sounds good.
I don't know if they're going to change the name, but that's what it was when we were.
Well, I think if people follow some of the resources that you just mentioned and stay in the loop, we'll find out, because I'd like to see it. I think something like that sounds very powerful and just another wonderful way to inspire and help people.
Yes.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm
takeaway.
honored.
Can I give one takeaway here?
I guess we can't stop you.
Well, you probably could. I think you have a button over there. But if I jump back out into my world of therapy and what works, what doesn't, we often talk about things called common factors. There's lots of different sorts of therapeutic interventions, and we're always try to look at the therapies that work probably have some common factors, even though the therapies are different. The common factor I'm taking away from today's show is connection. I know we've mentioned that a couple of times, but when Casey asked you, what do you do to stay strong and through this recovery process, everything you mentioned is a connection. You've gone out, you've been active, you've made connections with groups and individuals, both probably receiving and obviously giving, that keep you focused and healthy and sober. And I would say that whatever, because we've talked lots of times about traditional 12 steps, and we've talked about all these different types of interventions, meditation, and whatever it happens to be. I think connection is one of the main common factors. So I would encourage listeners, whatever you're doing, ask yourself, is there an element of connection in my recovery? If there isn't, I think we're going to struggle. If there is, I think people are going to have a much better experience.
I totally agree. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
But he's smart.
That's why we got
sense.
him. Yin and yang.
I think if I talk long enough, Casey, you just quit listening.
Is he talking? Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast today, and thank you for all your kind words helping me celebrate my 1 year of sobriety. Thanks to Destiny for coming in and sharing your story. And if you need help, do what I did, reach out, make a connection, or give Pinnacle Recovery Center a call. Thanks for listening today. Project Recovery is a KSL podcast.